Alright guys, here is a video review for the, I believe it's JuJiang Jet Commander set. You can buy these individually or as a set of 5. They do all come individually boxed. There's no instruction sheets in them, but they're kind of upgraded Combiner Wars figures with some neat little additions. So you should be able to figure them out. They're not super difficult. But yeah, they have names like Jet Eagle and things like, they're all Jet something, but I'll probably just end up referring to them by their actual aerial bot names because that's easier for me. They are all here. I thought about doing individual reviews for each of them, but they came all at once, and since we're showing off the whole combined thing, also I'm running out of time. I've been very busy this week with work. We had election coverage, and I pulled a 12-hour shift and left work after midnight last night, and then went back and did it all again today. So, and then tomorrow I've got to get ready and pack. I'm going out of town for the weekend to march with the JMU alumni band. So I'm looking forward to that, seeing some people, meeting some people I know online that, and seeing some old friends, and it's going to be fun. Anyway, so here they are. It's the aerial bots. You got Skydive over here, Skydive, Air Raid, Silverbolt, Slingshot, and then Fireflight hiding back there. In the corner, you can also see the old Common Rider to be Henshin device back there, Zector. So yeah, we'll start off with Superion here in jet mode real quick. You see he does have his giant rifle, which pegs onto the bottom. You can have it like this. If you wish, you can unpeg it from down here. Come out of there. You can take this piece off, and if you want to just, that'll let you peg this back in a little further. Actually, maybe it won't. There's a peg hole there, but this piece gets in, but you can have it there like that. Or you can just take it off and not have it on there at all. Entirely up to you. Make sure that goes on there correctly. But yeah, there's his rifle. And you can see without that, he still has the same, just like the Combiner Wars figure, the kind of robot under a jet look. There's a few extra panels, a few extra hinges, a few extra secrets when we go to transform him to a robot. And we'll go ahead and do him first. The limbs are all very similar, again, with a few extra tweaks. So first off, these little panels flip up as separate pieces. And then you pop the wings up. Peg into the arms here. Move the arms up out of the way. And at first, a lot of this is going to seem pretty straightforward from the original. Flip the feet out. There we go. Just knee all the way up. Just foot around. And again, there's a couple little vent holes where the pin goes through that you can use to get the heels out. But there's his legs done. Snap those back. Be a little bit more even. He'll stand better once we get him all transformed here. But he's added ankle tilts, ratcheting ankle tilts on each foot, which is nice. Alright, he's going to fall backwards, so we'll push him back a little bit, and we'll move the camera up so we can show off the rest of his body. Now what's really neat, and up here on the head is where it really starts to change. The arms, you bring them out, and you'll notice they're kind of hitting against his body here. So you untab this, and this whole piece, lift up this whole jet nose here, and then these pieces actually expand out to give him broader shoulders. You fold this down around onto his back. You can fold the tail fin to either side. You can fold these back, and you can kind of angle these back. He's still got a bit of a backpack, but it doesn't. A lot of these panels move, so it doesn't all conflict here on his back, and you can get that nose cone mostly vertical. But then this middle piece now flips up and around. This is the only part that worries me a little bit because you kind of have to force these apart to snap his head in place. You can see it. You snap his head down, it will tab in. These little ridges have a little slot inside this tabs into, and you close up his chest. And there he is in robot mode. His head's a little small, but Aside from that, he's actually got a nice chunky proportioned body. Again, head a little small. I do wish his head was a little bigger now that I'm seeing him here under the lights. Make sure that clips into place. That actually tabs in on the back. And he can hold the rifle. He can hold it as the huge combiner rifle. Or as I mentioned, you can take this off. You can even pull out this connector piece and have him either hold it like this. Or I guess you have to use this peg for this one. Get it in his hand here. There we go. Ratcheting joints in his arm. It's still a very long rifle for him, but yeah, there he is. But I do like the expanding shoulders. It also helps expand the hips a little bit in combined mode, which is nice. And the ankle tilts help keep him steady. So yeah, there is the Silverbolt portion. Now all the smaller jets, again, if you play with Combiner Wars, you pretty much know what you're expecting here, aside from a few little extra bits. Now, Slingshot here has the tapered body, and then it flares out because of how they did the legs. So he's got a little bit of an awkward. He doesn't have the actual tapering body like he should. But got a landing gear up here in his nose cone. And that's the other thing. Skydive, yeah, Skydive actually has a landing gear in the back of his head. So you can use that in jet mode. Which is a nice little addition. We should get to that later. But these transform pretty much exactly the same as their smaller counterparts, except you lift this up, the legs, you bring the arms up to the side. This comes out. You split the legs like this. The difference is here, you can see his feet flip up. And this is mostly for the leg bots, this extra hinge, but when you bring the legs down, instead of just bringing them up and around and tabbing in up here, there's an extra hinge here. So you can see that sits down below the feet, and you just lift that up and around and then lock the legs in place like that. And this comes down, this tabs in. There's those slots that tabs in. You can just kind of angle this plate back, fold his wings back. You can fold his tail fins back, give him a little bit more heel support. Flip out ball jointed hands. So rotate his arm around the proper way, and now he has ball jointed wrists. A little limited just based on the squareness of the back of the hand and the arm, but there's enough room there that you can get him in some pretty decent positions. So yeah, a little up and down there in the hand. Turn his head around, and there he is in robot mode. He also comes with a small little gun. His and Fireflights looks like they're the same gun in white, whereas Skydive and Air Raids are in black, but you can see there's a slightly different shape to them, which again is seamless. So there's Slingshot. Articulation is about the same. We got thigh swivels, ratcheting hips, bicep swivels. The extra ball joint there at the hand. And you can see the connector port. It uses the same kind of connector ports. They're oversized. I wish I still had my original Combiner Wars Superion, or I would compare them to them, but I do not. But there is Slingshot. Go ahead and continue with the arm barts with Fireflight, who again is very, very similar. Flip back the tail. I'll go ahead and pull the arms back, pull the arms out, their wings back, split the legs apart, bring this up. You can see it doesn't sit, the way these tab in up here, it doesn't sit quite as far forward up against the front of the leg as the Combiner Wars did. Flip the feet up. Again, that hinge here brings the back part of the leg up. Make sure everything's lined up straight so it tabs in properly. And then split the legs apart. You can just fold this fin up into the back on that side. Pull his whole front end down. Again, landing gear up here. Plug it in. Bring his arms down. Turn his head around. Flip out the ball jointed wrists. And give him his weapon. There he is. You can see his face is a little plain. Their face is like... Slingshot actually has some orange paint over translucent orange plastic. He does have light piping. There is some blue clear plastic in there, but unpainted. They're lacking a little bit of detail that the Hasbro ones had application-wise. They certainly look okay in jet mode. Their robot modes look a little bland. But there's Firefly. And the leg bots are the traditional leg bots, Air Raid and Skydive. Have a couple extra features here in the wings, which are pretty cool. We'll go ahead and fold up his fins there and pull his arms out. The wings, lift them up like this so you can open up these panels, lift up this panel. Again, the legs exactly the same as before. Lift them up, do the dual hinge to line those up, split them apart. Flip up the feet. These guys all have ball jointed toes, so they've got some ankle tilt as well with the separate feet, which is nice. All of the previous ones had it. It does still have the waist swivel here, the ratcheting waist swivel. Pull this down. Come on, you. There we go. Tab it onto his back. Now the wings actually rotate around and up and back like this. So you can fold those in and they're not quite as much of an eyesore. Arms down, turn his head around. I think they'd all look very good. I haven't done it yet with an Autobot symbol here on their chest. I do have several of them over there. I'll probably do that after the video review is done. But there he is. His rifle is the one with the, like I said, there's two ones. His is the one with, looks just kind of more of an angled wedge versus whatever, Black Mesa or whatever that's on the top of Skydive's. There he is. And then for Skydive, again, same thing. Pop this up, lift the wings up, arms up. The legs, flip up the feet, lift the back panels up, and lock those into place, split them apart, fold in those. And he actually has his arms come up, and then for jet mode, these pieces you can see slide down so they're not sticking up out past the wings in jet mode. So for robot mode, you actually slide his outer torso bits, his pecs, his robo pecs up. Because they're not really the full pec, but whatever. And again, flip out his hands. Bring this down to his back, turn his head around. Give him his gun. If it wants to go in his hand, it does not. There we go. And there you go. So here are all of them. Let's see if I can get them all in a group shot here with Silverbolt. And Silverbolt with, again, his ridiculously huge rifle. Okay. You don't want to hold it, that's fine. There's all of them together as a group. And they look like the aerial bots. Again, not quite as detailed in robot mode, but oversized, and some of the new little posable features add to it. Now to combine them, here's where it gets really neat, because you've got pegged on, fully articulated hands. Again, we're going to combine them, don't worry, I'm just showing off the individual bits. Here for the combined mode, both left and right. And then the feet, you can see, are full chunky feet with a very strong ratcheting ankle joint here. And this peg right here, this piece right here, that kind of looks like a Star Destroyer tower here, is the reason for those dual hinges on the back of the legs, and you'll see why in just a minute. So we'll go ahead and take the smaller weapons out of their hands. Again, there's different ways you can pose them, just like you could with the Combiner Wars, where you put their robot arms. I'm going to do a real basic combination here. But we'll go ahead and turn these back around. Get him mostly back to jet mode. Not all the way, but leave the wings out. You can leave the arms down. You can do the fold them around like this. Like, they still have the tabs from the Combiner Wars, but I haven't found on the sides of the arm, but I haven't really found a place to tab them in. But if you want to have them come up like that, if you want to have them just straight down to the side, however you want to do it. Oh yeah, bring this down. Yeah, you want to leave that down so you can bring his, so you can rotate his head down. Nice clicky ratchet joint there on the elbow. I guess we want to bring them up. Oh, there we go. There's a tab right there. But you need to have it go this way. If you do it like that, yeah, if you do it like that, that tabs right in like that. So, okay, maybe there is more of an official way to do the arms. My apologies. Leave the hands up. Leave the feet up. Rotate this around. Snap his legs back together. Actually, he's going to be this arm. You can collapse the legs and give them stubbier arms, but I like to use those leg joints as an elbow. So there he is. We'll just take his right hand, plug it right in here, and there's Fireflight as an arm. Slingshot next. You don't have to turn his head around. I just always do, because then it's kind of facing down inside there. So if you look down at the top, you don't just see a robot head facing up at you. But entirely up to you. He also has the pegs here on his arms, so I guess we'll do the same thing with these arms. That arm is squeaking a little bit more than the others, and I'm not super concerned about it because it's not resisting me in a way that I feel it's going to break. But you know, be careful. I do have some of that shock oil sitting right over there, so if I need it, I got it. Have those in right up there. Again, peg his legs back together. Fold his fin in. Actually, now let's fold up. And we'll go ahead and bring his, and these pieces just kind of sit off to the side. And we'll plug his hand into him. And now the legs. So on these, you turn these basically back into jet mode on the legs. We'll go ahead and fold his arms in because we know we're going to do that. Or his hands in. I guess his arms are going to stay right there. But you can leave the wings like this, folded up on the back of the jet. And then collapse the legs back down. And again, you need to make sure when you're folding these back up, these won't line up unless you pull that hinge back all the way down for jet mode. Make sure that lines up. So make sure to bring this down and around like that. Leave his foot up. And then collapse the leg back up. And then snap those legs together. Like that. This piece just kind of, it doesn't fit right back into place if you've got this lowered down. It lowers this piece down as well, but it still kind of folds up and just kind of covers up. You can still see a little bit of the gap there, but it covers that up pretty well. Like this, go ahead and rotate his, actually his head we're going to leave like that, because when you flip it all the way around, it got caught on the cockpit there. Although I'm going to pop his head back on. His head doesn't pop off that easy. It's just the, as I was flipping it around, this piece got caught on the jet and popped the head right off. But here we go. Come on, everybody line back up. Bring this back down, snap it in like that. Combiner ports up. The arms you just kind of bring back down to where they were in jet mode. Tuck them in right there. And then the reason for that double hinge there is because now the port is up, and so you get a lot of this ankle movement in the foot, but that the foot looks more connected. That having this piece lower hides a lot of this connector up here, and that's not all the way in. You can see there's a little gap up here, a couple little pegs, or 2 tabs on the side of a slot. You can push that all the way up onto the foot, and that really just kind of makes the foot look like it's coming right out of the Jet. So if you look at it from the back, you can see how the feet are raised up from the back of the Jet. It hides that ankle piece, but it's really kind of neat the way they managed to make that work. So there's air raid as a foot. Like I said, once this is all together, you'll see just how big this is, and it's really pretty cool. The Skydive is the same thing, except his wings. I didn't fold his wings all the way up. His wings actually fold up. I folded them back. His wings actually fold up even more like that. Like this piece and this piece rotate up. So they sit up here like this. I should have done that for robot mode, so they're not just hanging down off the side there. They're actually kind of still stick out the back like jet wings do on these guys, but we'll get to you, Silverbolt. You wait your turn. So we'll go ahead and fold up his hands. Make sure this comes out. So flip his connector port around. Plug that back in. Lift this up. Again, lower that hinge there. Lower that hinge there. Bring the whole leg assembly into the lower body, or the lower leg, upper leg into the lower leg. And then collapse these up. Snap this back together. So he looks like that. Bring the arms down. Now here you want to leave these up. His arms fold in this position. Better if you leave the abs up for leg mode. Bring that down. And then again, push the leg. You can see that it's these blocks right here that go into these slots here on the foot. Just plug that on, push it all the way down until it clips all the way into place. And there he is as a leg. Again, he's just a jet with a foot. Now for Silverbolt. Here's where there's, again, a couple neat things. So open this up, lift his head back out, but then close this back up because you want to leave these wide. Unpeg this, rotate it around, and you can see there's actually 2 clip tabs here. This one for when this is flipped forward and it's raised up a little higher, and then this one when you're combining it to the back for combine mode. So flip that up. Again, just kind of angle those so they form a semi-coherent piece there on the back. Rotate his legs around, rotate this piece around, and flip the fist back. Now, unfortunately, that's the one thing that I wish they could have improved, was his hands just kind of hang out here on the back of his legs. But, oh well. But I like that there's little swivel covers that hide the gap there in combine mode, or in robot mode. Bring the arms out to the side. Fold, not the arm, I guess. It's not even, arms isn't even correct. Torso pieces and legs. At no point are these arms really, unless you just give them kind of claw arms. Bring these in and up like that. Before you do that, you do want to get his head out. Now, this is the one piece that, now that I was about to say, sometimes it's difficult to get his head out. It does it right away. So that can be difficult sometimes to find a place to get under there to pop this out. And maybe it's just because I've done it a couple times now, but usually I have to get like a screwdriver or something to pry that out. But nope, there it went. And then expand this up to here. It just kind of folds up and sits in that gap. Fold these down and around and in. There's tabs here on the side. They just tab right back around where I went in jet mode. So you'll know you got lined up when those tab in properly. And then these pieces, instead of just sliding in, they actually angle down. Although you want to do this one with the tabs on it first. So fold that down. And then there's slots over here. You fold this one down over it and lock those together. So his torso comes together, his individual antenna flip up, and this should slot. There you go. There's a slot here just under the tail, and that should lock into place there. So there is the torso mode. Like I said, you see he's got the wider hips, a little better proportion. He's still a little skinny here in the outer thigh, upper leg bit, but what are you gonna do? Also for his rifle, here's how it's been before. This peg that he uses to hold it in other modes, this whole assembly piece actually comes out. And then you plug it in. It won't go this way. You need to rotate it this way so the shorter end's facing back. But you plug this into this peg hole, and now he's got a tabbed handle for his combined mode to hold it much more securely. You can kind of make it work with the peg this way, but it's way better with this. So now we just combine them together. And one of the things I like to do, you don't have to do this. They're kind of hidden behind the jet nose cone anyway. Let me lift this up a little bit. Is when I slide this in, and then I rotate this back down to hide that gap, because he still keeps all his articulation. So if you don't want to see the combiner port, you can do that. Although again, it's kind of hidden behind the jet nose cone, so it's entirely up to you. And then, geez, can I even change my setting? Way up here! Way up there, where the air is cool and snowy. Anyway. And here, just open these panels up. That's just like the Combiner Wars version. Getting the arms in is more of a pain than the legs. But he's got a nice ball-jointed combiner head. He can look around, which is nice. So, there we go. Now that all his arms are on, I need to click him back a little bit so he stands. He actually stands pretty well. And then, like I said, the rifle, now that he has this tabbed piece, you can tab it into his hand there, and it won't interfere with the, come on. The tail fin there on Fireflight. So now he's got his rifle, and now he is big and huge. And as posable as the Combiner Wars version, I go with some extra articulation there in the feet and fingers, obviously, and the ball-jointed neck and the robot mode head. And it's a very impressive looking Superion. Someone asked if he was comparable to TFC Uranus, and like, I feel like the plastic quality is. He's not as intricate. He's not as complicated as some of those were. I mean, like, he's basically upscaled Combiner Wars figures with some added improvements. But he's actually pretty impressive looking. Like, I am not even generally a big Superion fan, and he's pretty cool. I'm leaving this sitting up because I'm going to see if I can do this here. I can slide him over. I'm going to have to pull back out for this shot. But to get an idea of how big he is, he makes a really nice opponent for the Power of the Prime's Predaking. There you go. So, and that's really, I think, the biggest appeal of this guy. Because for about the same price as Power of the Prime's Predaking, I think it's about $150 for all of them. You've got a Superion that matches both the size, the same kind of tactile feel, if that makes sense, as well as being as how they're kind of improved Combiner Wars figures. They have that same, they feel like a matching set, if that makes sense. More so than even Predaking and the previous Devastator did. And there's lots of art of Predaking and Superion fighting, so I don't know that they were canonically rivals at any point, but they look really nice facing off together. So I've been wanting an opponent for your Power of the Prime's Predaking, who I really still enjoy. He's got some issues, but the way they made him all work all together is really nice. But that's actually a really solid set. So there it is, the JuJiang Jet Commander. It's pretty cool. Also, real quick before I go, I totally spaced this in the video itself. His face. Here he is with the standard Superion, or I don't know if the standard Superion face. Here he is with one Superion face. And if you're not liking the kind of Elvis lips there, you can lift up his forehead, rotate his face around, and have his face-plated head. So yeah, you've got a couple options there with the face as well. Pretty cool.